be irrationally upset with Call of Duty. Call of Duty has done a poor job with updates. I think they got a little behind on the year-to-year releases.
Shot shares the truth about Black Ops 7 and why he thinks it's bad.
I honestly think that skill-based matchmaking is probably the worst thing that ever happened in Call of Duty because it gave people a reason to be irrationally upset with Call of Duty. Anytime that there is a game where there is some sort of mechanic in the background that is altering your gameplay experience that you, one, have no control over, and two, have no visibility into, skill-based matchmaking is like this uncontrollable thing that's been a consistent through point in every Call of Duty that we played for a very long time now, and it just built up resentment towards the game.
Battlefield 6 confirmed that there's gonna be no skill-based matchmaking, while Call of Duty is still pushing for it, while 90% of the player base does not even want to see it. Nadeshot is very vocal about this with how many cheaters there are in game and what exactly is happening with SBMM. Smash that like button if you guys haven't already, and it seems like that skill-based matchmaking will be for also Battlefield 6, but will be different per game mode. So that is something they are listening for, and something that, you know, Call of Duty really needed years of development to actually see the truth about it. I definitely see a very big problem at this point with Call of Duty by not listening to its community. Now it's starting to show in terms of their sales going off. So what is next? Even content creators are mad about it. The dislikes to likes ratio are absolutely horrific, and we are finally seeing some changes being made. It has come to the point where SBMM has actually started to affect Call of Duty's player base and their revenue from skins and other transactions. Seems like a lot of content creators are also going to be playing Battlefield 6 because they do not feel comfortable trusting a company that won't listen to them. People have been asking for a support a creator code or content creators that could actually make them turn this into a full-time business. For example, we are seeing way less content for Warzone this year, and a lot of people are still frustrated with the amount of cheaters after 5 years. Call of Duty is borrowing a lot of things from games like Fortnite, such as IP designs and skins, but the real aspects of it, like custom maps, such as we have in Counter-Strike, are not yet available after many years of request. Removing SBMM or even just adding an option of SBMM, which cost them multiple millions of dollars to patent and develop, has still not been made as a side option, which made a lot of die-hard fans of Call of Duty quit and switch to Battlefield.
And the content that they offered throughout the year, it looked very lazy. It looked half-baked. It looked like it wasn't ready or they weren't prepared. There's been unbelievable amounts of cheating, like we said. I think that's truly like the biggest topic for me. But if you remove those things, I still think Call of Duty is a very fun game to play.
Duty Black Ops 7 feels more like a placeholder when Battlefield 6 looks like more of a game with much love. Even Nadeshot is frustrated with the lack of content and no reason to actually play Warzone this year if there's not going to be anything new to play it. People are getting sick of the same old maps, and they're getting sick of the stale old content. The new only thing in Black Ops 7 is actually the wall jump feature, which we have seen kind of in Advanced and Infinite Warfare. A wall jump and some new drones are simply not enough for 2025 video game mechanics set into the future, where Battlefield 6 has reworked its entire destruction bit by bit, piece by piece. Black Ops 7 will release on November 14th, while Battlefield has already released, and this means that Battlefield will have the head start to see how they can improve their game. Battlefield still is losing in terms of player numbers compared to Black Ops 6 and 7. Will that change in the future? You decide. Nadeshot is probably going to be playing both games, but he is obviously very interested in the new battle.
The content can be as good as ever. If this new anti-cheat stuff doesn't anything, that's literally what I've told people, yes. I'm talking to devs, I talked to like the head of Warzone, and I'm like, bro, if this stuff doesn't get dialed in, you're going to lose everybody even more. Like, we've never bounced back from Warzone 2. The content plan has been non-existent. Our map integrations have brought us backwards more than forwards. And cheating's worse than it ever has before. And I was just spitting. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to these guys. I'm like, dude, you can make the best stuff ever, but like, the community is like super fed up right now. So they said they watch the streams all the time. So I'm like, I apologize. I've been a giant bitch lately. They're like, no, it's for the most part warranted. I'm like, well, good. I'm glad you share the sentiment, because It's insane. I don't know. Bro, I'm not kidding. I did an interview yesterday. I don't want people to hear this besides you guys. I did an interview yesterday, and the last line they wanted me to say was, "I'm super excited for Call of Duty Warzone." And I handed the microphone back. I said, "I'm not saying that right now." Yeah, I've never got a funnier stare in my life. They're like, "Wait, really?" Dude, I couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it with a straight face. I like it. I can't do it. Oh man, that was a funny look I got. They were like, "Are you dead ass right now?" Wait, good. I'm excited though, man. I'm excited. I need something. I need to feel something. I feel like we've gone through several of these next events, and I don't get that feeling enough. And I'm really hoping we need it. Need it, bro. Guys, thanks for all the subs. I think it's the final day of the bonus subs on, by the way. I don't know. I got to stand on business somewhere. I'm surprised I'm like low key nervous about getting invited back sometimes. I've been kind of mean lately, but I got to be mean. This is my career too. We all need better. We all need to have some passion back, bro. I think this countdown stream went live. Let me see. You guys hear this? You guys.
The truth about COD next events is they should be authentic as possible. They shouldn't have any subjectivity to it and people watching you over and telling you what to say. This is why streamers are flying across the world, to actually get invited and tell their first thoughts. And the issue is, if you tell your first thoughts are bad, you might fear that you will never get invited again to COD Next event, which is watched by millions of people, and it will affect your revenue as a streamer as well. So a lot of the streamers were actually forced to say things that they didn't want to say, how good it is. They don't want to talk about the problems, and they were invited across the world to actually play Warzone. Now, when Battlefield has this, I really like it's more closed off, but they can actually talk to the developers directly on their events. But again, the issue here is the lots of the streamers that we have over there or here is if you speak against Call of Duty, you might risk not getting invited. And I feel like criticism is really important to the point where it isn't pure hate, but where it's valid points that people are making. And he made a very valid point here that Call of Duty needs a content plan. It needs a path and goal to do, because since Warzone 2, Call of Duty has been, in my opinion, the revenue has been going down for Treyarch and Activision, and in general, their whole player base is turning against them. While for Battlefield 6, it has actually been going up since Battlefield 2042, as this is their last chance to actually make it back fully. The issue with events like this is the core of the game is already out there. All you have to do is change a few key aspects, and what you can change is the content plan and what you choose to release after the game launches. I know a lot of players would be frustrated with the game, but telling people what to do, in my opinion, is not a good marketing perspective anyway, because the people will probably make a video after they get from COD Next event and say, you know, I was kind of forced to do that. I don't really like the game. And this is where authenticity really matters and what you feel about the game, because people will find out if it's bad. And we kind of saw this with Battlefield. They didn't force anyone to say anything. They just gave a bunch of codes to people in early access, a lot of streamers, and they said, hey, share your thoughts. What could we improve? What bugs do we need to fix? And this was the simplest solution for all of them. I feel like there's a big rage coming up for people regarding Call of Duty, because some streamers have been talking about this problem like SBMM for 5 years, and nothing has changed at that matter. So this was the big problem here, and after 5 years, you know, Treyarch and Activision finally changed, or at least added a feature for SBMM, which doesn't have that much of an issue. It's like adding a new game mode. I do expect to see a lot more streamers being vocal about Black Ops 7 and Battlefield 6 releases. I really love that.
That playlist might save COD. It will help. I'm going to be honest. That playlist will help. Listen, I'm not a big COD enjoyer, but whatever the fuck they had 2 days ago when it wasn't this playlist, it was absolutely miserable. And now it was actually kind of like enjoyable. So they better fucking keep this playlist, because this is coming from someone like me who plays a lot of games. Like, what if you don't play a lot of games? Are you just like, would you just be fucked if this playlist didn't exist? I don't know.
Streamer under Call of Duty and even playing it in this matter, as they will make their time for Battlefield 6. This is a big problem for content creators and everyone working in the video game industry, as it means thousands of people could potentially lose their job. When I mean that, I'm including content creators which are earning ad revenue from YouTube. Might I remind you, for example, what happened to Battlefield 2042? 90% of the content creators for Battlefield did not survive. Will the same happen for Call of Duty? I don't think so. Call of Duty comes out every year, but you know, opinions like this, people not being happy vocally when thousands of people are watching, is a very clear sign that Call of Duty right now is struggling quite a bit. I'm not a big COD enjoyer, but whatever they had 2 days ago was miserable. Personally, I didn't feel like that. But if one of the big streamers thinks like that, I'm pretty sure a lot of other players are thinking that way, and I'm sure a lot of other content creators are thinking the same. Call of Duty has an uphill climb, so-called Sisyphus rock, to make it back where it was. But I am releasing some videos on what they are doing to actively combat these cheaters that cost them millions of dollars of damage. I'm your host, Central, and I will keep you reported with more news. But can people just be honest about the fact that they're going against people worse than them, and we could stop all this charading? Now nerf aim assist. Yeah, no. And players like this, because they can beat up on players with less skill than them, which really means they're at their core. So a lot of players are saying that, you know, he is not going to be in the game because there's a lot of good players there, if I understand that correctly. But obviously not. Shroud is a very, very good pro player that, you know, even went pro in the past. And here's the real thing. A lot of content creators feel like it's a risk to play Call of Duty right now if it might be dead for a very big while until that new big Warzone Call of Duty map comes out and there's a lot more content. What do you guys personally think? I feel like that, you know, the beta is all right. It's nothing special, but it...
Rebirth and Verdansk. What? If this came out as a mid-season update, you'd be like, yeah, all right.
Symphony calls out Black Ops 7 and Warzone.
That could easily transfer over to Warzone, not in Warzone. Someone please tell me how the wall jumping mechanic, which is the coolest, biggest, most hype feature in the new game, is not in Warzone. Someone's gotta tell me that. I don't know how. It's the coolest thing about the new game. You have to put it in Warzone, bro. You have to. I think Black Ops 7 looks good, and I'm excited to play Black Ops 7. But I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If you take away the guns swapping in because of the new game, and the perks because of the new game, guys, I don't even know if this update on Warzone would pass as a mid-season update. I don't even know if it would be good enough for a mid-season update. I'm not kidding. I mean, there's Haven's Hollow, but like... Rebirth and Verdansk. What? If this came out as a mid-season update, you'd be like, yeah, all right.
So yeah, it's pretty obvious that Black Ops 7 is a bit disappointing, but what's even more disappointing is Warzone. While players were expecting something huge, something to change the game from the dying player count of Warzone, which right now has never recovered even on Steam, which I'm guessing is the same for Xbox Game Pass Battle.net. Now we just got a little, you know, mid-season basically waiting moment, and a lot of streamers are very frustrated at that point because this is literally the point we have of Call of Duty, you know, having this big problem where it is one of the biggest companies and they couldn't release more content than 2 new locations at that point. And I feel like a lot of people are very frustrated with that, as Warzone did never recover those 2020 level of hype. And if we look at here, you know, Black Ops 7 is going to have the same fate. There's about 3 million people, up to 3 million people playing daily. We don't have the full statistics for Warzone, but it's very, very obvious that Warzone was really the thing that, you know, saved Black Ops at that matter. But now we do have only 1 to 3 maps in the new roadmap that was revealed. A lot of streamers are talking bad about it. Again, I do understand that this would be just randomly, you know, during waiting for a season, but this is literally when Black Ops 7 launches, when there's going to be a biggest hype and when there's going to be most players. Instead, what we got is a very small portion and basically, you know, a signal station, factory, Verdansk, Rebirth Island, and Haven's Hollow, but a smaller portion of Haven's Hollow, which nobody actually asked for. I think the map looks amazing, don't get me wrong, but the real stuff is coming in 2026, and this is in 7 months. And, you know, Fortnite releasing stuff every single month really puts you in competition, and then saying like, oh, we're putting back the old modes like Plunder and Casual, but that's the issue here. is ranked play is coming and also blackout experience, but Avalon is not going to be blackout. It's going to be a big map or so. Wow, awesome. Are we getting a big map after 1 year? So a lot of people are frustrated that way, especially what are we going to do regards to content? They were expecting so much more content. Just look at Call of Duty content where we have Season 1 and Black Ops Season 6. I feel like they really put Warzone on a back burner, even there it's huge revenue. This is really the type of content we got just at the Season 01 launch and all the maps. And I really feel like that you can notice the difference over here. Like, this is just a mass improvement, and this is 1 year of difference here. And I really feel like they could even cross over some of the Black Ops 7 content into Warzone. I wouldn't personally mind that. They have a lot of assets. I just feel like it's really lazy and they're taking the audience for granted. People have been complaining about so many cheaters on Warzone as well, and nothing was done that after years of work because I don't feel like it affects their sales enough to mind it. But every 10th or 9th game I'm playing, there's a hacker there inside. And when I was supposed to be first, obviously they win because they have cheats. So yeah, a lot of these players will in fact have to move on to make other content. We already have plenty of content creators and Warzone ones who are simply quitting because of the burnout with too little content. And that's exactly something that happened with Valorant as well. There just wasn't enough content to go for. And so many creators had to quit because they couldn't make it a full-time job. Same for Battlefield 2042. And it's really getting obvious because, you know, one part is the awesome game, but the other part is all these content creators promoting Warzone. We saw the same with Rainbow Six Sieges. Like, there is content, there is stuff to do, but it's nothing compared to what it should be, especially, you know, Warzone has no excuses here. It's a $1 billion game, and they have assets for life. They have funds for life, and they could make any game. They could make it as big as GTA 6 at this point. The more money you get, the bigger the game gets, right? And this is the issue here. What are we getting, like, as a Cyberpunk type map? You're telling me, like, in 1 year, you could only put up a new map or two. So again, 2 maps and doing a ranked play and potentially Call of Duty Blackout, which might be using reused engine and reused assets anyway, so it's going to be 50% easier to make. So yeah, Symphony makes a pretty fair and valid point here. Is he was also very frustrated with the Warzone he got, because if you're playing this for every single year, you're getting sick of it, especially because he is playing and streaming this full time. So he probably is getting really sick of it. If you eat tortillas every day, you're probably getting sick of tortillas or tacos, right? So it makes total sense for him that, you know, this is not something that even content creators want. Instead, in the first season, we're getting a very, very tiny portion of the Haven's Hollow, and I am actually very disappointed with this because it looks like something that came out of beta. And I don't like to see that. I wanted to see so much more and so much more potential. Again, I bet the details are good, but this looks like a Black Ops 6 map or Zombies map. Again, I don't think this would take more than 3 months to make. I guess we haven't fully seen everything inside yet, but we are really at that point where they could just release so much more content. Even if they release new weapons, new content updates, new game modes, so much, or even like a way to make maps. Wouldn't that be amazing? Fortnite has done it for 5 years. Warzone still doesn't have an option to actually create a map. People are getting burned out, and some people would love to see some sort of parkour, B-hop, or just like 1v1 battles in Warzone. Well, you cannot have that. Isn't that amazing? So I feel like pretty frustrated with this one, this update. Hopefully they learn from this one and the player base, you know, leaving for other
feedback on matchmaking. How many fucking years do they have of this matchmaking system? How much data do they have? It's been 6 years of this same SBMM bullshit that we've been experiencing, and they don't have enough data by now? Are you kidding me? How about you turn it off for the entire beta and then get your data that way? Or how about this? Fuck the data. It wasn't really a problem back in the day when you guys were making good Call of Duties, because guess what? The Call of Duty was great because you guys actually cared about the game. The people that actually made the game actually played.
Now, here's the real issue I have with SBMM. My thoughts are very controversial about it, but I do feel it works in games like Fortnite. So Fortnite is really a game where it counts based on wins, kills, and placement. And again, you're not going to win every time, but if you win in Fortnite, it is going to increase that SBMM, which makes it much, much harder for your next ranked placements. The issue with Call of Duty Black Ops, it's actually very easy to get kills in multiplayer matches, and the SBMM increases very aggressively. I've gotten to a point in Black Ops 6 where I had to stop playing it because the SBMM was putting me with pro players. And again, I was nowhere near a pro player. I was maybe above average, but the time I was getting killed is absolutely unbelievable. And I had to lose a few matches, not on purpose, but just in general, I had to die many times, which those 5 matches made it unbearable for me. It was one of the most unfun experiences ever. So I could even get into normal lobbies. And then when I got into normal lobbies, I suddenly died again. It makes absolutely no sense. And in a game like Fortnite, you can die very fast. You just drop in and you go into the first spawn ever and you pick a fight and your SBMM goes down as you die, right? But you are learning, and if you survive out of 20 people, of course, you are a very good level. That's why it's going to increase your SBMM. And if you win like 3 times, of course, it's going to put you in higher ranks. But it doesn't work the same in Call of Duty, where if you're playing a meta weapon, obviously you're going to have a good KD ratio, and the SBMM is too aggressive and it's data for 5 years. I don't think they're going to change it because there's no reason for them to. As long as they sell skins, as long as they sell the games, they have no reason to actually change the whole setup.
Fucking game. And guess what? There was no SBMM. You got into a match within 1 second like we're experiencing in the beta, which is awesome in the open matchmaking game mode. But how about you just don't worry about the data, turn it off, and then go off of that data? Or fuck, like I just said, don't worry about it whatsoever. I'm spinning all over the place because, like, it makes no sense. Matt, are you even understand? Do you even play the game? Do you even know what we want anymore? You don't have enough data already, enough feedback, enough testing of normal search and destroy from MW3, Black Ops 6, and before that? Like, what are you talking about here? Oh, we need more data. It's been 6 years, maybe even longer.
Feedback on matchmaking, man. Freaking feedback on matchmaking. We've been giving you feedback for almost 7 straight years now, dude. Like every game,
exactly,
every season, every update, every single fucking day we've been giving you feedback. You have it. What more feedback? What more data could you possibly need? You have 7 years worth of feedback and 1/2 of the entire Black Ops 7.
Oh, SBMM, and I only got matched against pro players. So again, SBMM is something that's going to be in all games, not just Call of Duty. And people have to realize it is a way for worse players to actually play the game because it's going to match them with other worse players. A lot of people who say it doesn't work are the ones who have been playing COD for years. Now, I fully agree that if you've been playing COD for plus 5 years, which isn't the true casual gamer, is going to have this issue because he's good enough to actually not be matched with the bad players, but he's going to get matched against pro players and it's going to make the game unfun, right? And here's where I think this is a very, very big issue personally. We are seeing the majority of players being casual players, you know, those who bought their first Call of Duty or second Call of Duty and play during the weekends, maybe watch a bit of YouTube. And this is where SBMM really applies to, really helps. But the other half, you know, or the other 30, 20%, those are very vocal about it because yes, it is becoming a big issue for them after years of not getting content through, years of begging, nothing has changed. And I feel like this will persist for a long time. But what do you guys personally think about it? I think it is becoming a thing where Call of Duty is basically forced in Black Ops 7 to add a no SBMM option, at least for people to try and see the difference. Personally, I like SBMM because I'm not good enough at the game, but maybe once I start to be really good, I will definitely cop to no SBMM. It's been a controversial thing, and again, I am saying again, guys, there is an option to add it, and this is something that Battlefield is gonna have, right? SBMM in Battlefield 6. You can just Google it. Battlefield matchmaking won't rely heavily on SBMM as other factors will take priority, right? Because Battlefield is not a team-based game. Well, it is in fact a team-based game. It's not like Call of Duty where you can just carry. So there's going to be other factors at hand, while in Call of Duty, it's mostly competitive, right? As I said, comparison with Fortnite, you can lose a few games pretty quickly, but in COD is much harder to exit that SBMM train, so smash that like button. I can almost guarantee you that SBMM is a low priority for Call of Duty right now, simply because they're focusing more on skins and other revenue driven. Again, what's gonna make more revenue? Posting skins, new maps, new content, stuff that people will buy, or actually revamping a whole system. Of course, yeah, over the long term, SBMM would work, but in their minds, it already works. It's already done, and the people who complain are a very large minority, a very minor minority of people who, you know, simply don't like the game. But I feel like that it is becoming a greater and greater issue, especially for those pro players, that they could at least add an option, even if you had to wait for lobbies a long time. I mean, the servers, yeah, it's gonna cost, but they are a billion-dollar company, and adding a few smaller servers with no SBMM would just improve that honesty and trust factor, which they have lost over the years personally. But I don't think
on YouTube, right? Because they're going to market these things. They want it to get more views. They're going to pay to boost it and give it extra views and everything. But the dislikes would speak more volumes. This one says 97,000 dislikes on Black Ops 7 compared to 832 on Black Ops 6. That's insane. That's insane. And I think this is the potential that a lot of Battlefield has. It's the people that have been disenfranchised from Call of Duty, that don't like Call of Duty anymore, that are looking for a different game to play, that might be willing to now switch over to Battlefield, where it's not as big of a niche game. Maybe they do create a good BR that attracts a lot of the players from there. That's how they're going to try and acquire 100 million players. That's probably their goal with it. That's a big difference. Oh, do you think Activision is scared right now? I mean, I don't know, but I hope that this is them deciding to step their game up and start to do bigger and better updates.
one thing is for sure, Battlefield 6 really did step their game up. However, I do not feel that the new Warzone Battlefield 6 map will really do anything at this point, because Battlefield 6 is already 6 years too late to the Battle Royale game, and we all saw what happened with Firestone. It didn't do that well. But again, there is something for sure, is that Call of Duty is actively losing its player base now to Battlefield 6 once it's back. There is a lot of issues with Battlefield 6. How is it going to perform next year when Modern Warfare 4 launches and Battlefield will not have a game yet other than a very old Warzone type game? So again, Battle Royale is awesome, but there is such a big battle now because Battlefield 6 was preparing 4 years for this. It was literally their last shot. A Battlefield 6 Battle Royale map has already been showcased. And while it does look amazing, we did see some leaks of the Battlefield 6 already. It cannot compare to the level of detail we are seeing with Warzone right now. Warzone has more money, more revenue, and has been doing this for 5 years with a great team. All through Warzone is doing some things bad, like hackers and, you know, skins and IPs. They are still miles ahead in front of Battlefield 6. Again, Battlefield 6 Battle Royale is going to be more of an experimental project than an actual real thing. Look what happened with Firestone. It was Battlefield 5's Battle Royale 6 years ago with almost no player base and being shut down for 7 years. While Battlefield 6 has released a brand new map, Warzone still has 5 years of a loyal player base that will always keep playing. And again, Battle Royale games, they are in fact dying in my opinion. They are getting stuff of the past, while new games, you know, new niches and new genres, especially when GTA 6 comes out, are becoming way more popular for that matter. It does not seem like that, you know, Battlefield 6 can actually beat Call of Duty, especially next year. Call of Duty is releasing Blackout. It's releasing that new map that we are seeing. It's releasing tons of new content for Warzone to Battlefield's Battle Royale map. And we're actually going to be seeing Modern Warfare 4, one of the most hyped games ever. Again, Black Ops 7 was a bit lackluster. That's because they're preparing for next year when Battlefield 6 is really not going to be releasing anything of value. It's not going to be releasing new games. And I think this is what Call of Duty's plan is. Basically, release just a placeholder game that could kind of compete with Battlefield 6 and lose some of that player base and try to get it back next year. That's my personal opinion. I think a lot of streamers will be switching on to Battlefield 6. What do you guys personally think? Battlefield 6 is releasing today, and it's going to be probably amazing, and it's going to kick Call of Duty off their butts. It's going to make them, you know, actually put effort into the games this time. While I do want to show you a footage of Battlefield 6 league gameplay, I am afraid that I will get copyright striked. And the second part is that I don't think the gameplay is that much of a game changer. It's more like an addition unless they add more content, more skins, more things that Warzone already had. Warzone had actually time to improve for the next 2 years. This is where Warzone 2.0 really won all those Battlefield battles, while Battlefield only released Battlefield 2042. We're going to be seeing how many people actually buy the game and buy the beta for Battlefield 6 against COD, which sells 4 times more copies. Fans are in fact hoping for a new Call of Duty that is gonna be much. Giant creator of COD just shared a quick video on SBMM.
Director at Treyarch, back again to answer some more of your questions about multiplayer coming out of the Black Ops 7 beta. Okay, let's get right into it with a juicy one. Are open playlists going to be the standard for launch? I'm very happy to say that the matchmaking that we introduced in the Black Ops 7 beta, which is the classic matchmaking where skill is minimally considered, will be the new standard matchmaking for Black Ops 7 multiplayer on launch. Next question, and it's a good question. Why wait until the Black Ops 7 beta to try this? Simply put, it's a beta. Betas are meant for us to test things. We wanted to take a big swing on something that we knew you had a lot of feedback on. That's what we did with matchmaking, and that's why we did it. Are we getting persistent lobbies? Yes, our goal with Black Ops 7 multiplayer on day one is to keep players together after a match. Obviously, it's a little trickier with quick play and dedicated servers, but the plan is to keep players together as much as possible. Are you changing aim assist? So I can say we are actively looking at the tuning of rotational aim assist and our aim assist strength across all inputs to make sure that we have a fair and competitive launch for Black Ops 7 multiplayer. What's changing from the beta? So in short, there's a ton based off of your feedback and our data. Let's get into a few questions to touch on those. I can't hear footsteps. So we hear you, or we don't. We wanted to kind of go out with Black Ops 7 multiplayer beta and the footsteps a little bit on the softer side. We know there's always a bit of a back and forth with our community on how loud.
Yeah, so Call of Duty just confirmed no SBMM, or at least an option, which people have been already asking for 5 years, but is it really enough to save the damage that has been done? Now, I don't feel like Battlefield will really kill Call of Duty, but when you check the answers, it's literally everything is about Battlefield. Battlefield, thank you, Battlefield, thank you. Exactly, like sounds like corporate speech. And in my personal opinion, they are actively making changes now because they see people will just not buy the game. People will not play the game, and they're getting towards losing millions of dollars of revenue if they do not do it. And this is a very, very clear and obvious thing that I'm seeing right now at Call of Duty. It is in a risky situation where it could lose a large portion. Just looking at Battlefield beta, there was actually a survey, and 23 to 28% of players who touched Battlefield did not touch Call of Duty that month. Can you imagine? 26% of players who just touched Battlefield are now going to be not potentially buying Battlefield per se, but they're not going to play Call of Duty anymore. So it is pretty crazy with what's going on. That's potentially 25% less sales for Call of Duty if we take a very big sample size. So 25% less sales probably means like what? $200 million, $250 million, $500 million. I think we're talking about big numbers, guys. It's much bigger than most people think, and this is the reality here. They realized, okay, this is a big problem. We need to listen to the community, the stuff that could have been added and wouldn't cost that much, and it wouldn't take that much time. And aim assist, being changed, it's cool. It's great. But yeah, finally here, finally done, and them making a stream about it.